friends, it's Terry Gaines, independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. In my last video tutorial, I shared a card that I created using an embossing folder image and adding the black detail with the Memento ink. In this video tutorial, I'm going to create the same card design, but instead of using the black Memento ink, I am going to use the metallic enamel effects, the gold color. When you purchase this, you get gold, silver, and copper. And I do want to let you know this product is on the last chance list. It is, I believe, 50% off. And it's only while supplies last. So I'm going to be using this to add the outline to the project. So let me give you all the details on how I have prepped the material before I start the assembly. So I have basic white for my card base. It is 8.5 by 5.5. I've already folded it in half, or you can score it at 4 1/4. The card is going to open up this direction. It's going to be the same layout as the previous card. For my basic white layer, I have cut this at 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. I texturized this with the exposed brick embossing folder. This is perfect to give you a subtle design. So I just wanted a subtle design for this project. So I've done that ahead of time. Then we have the piece that gets the floral embossed image on it. So this is 2 3/4 by 5.5. I use the Glass and Gardens embossing folders. You get both of these folders together. You can use them with your mini emboss machine or the standard. And what I did was I prepped this ahead of time. I placed the cardstock in the middle of the folder, ran it through my machine, and got that texture in here already. So I got that work done ahead of time. And then I have a banner. This is from the Stylish Shape banners, this one of the smaller banners. And I stamped congratulations on here using pecan pie ink. And I used this stamp set and the sentiment from that stamp set. So that's the prep work I did for the basic white cardstock. I'm going to add gold enamel to this. So I'm going to embellish the card with the gold foil sheets. So this foil sheet is 5 1/4 by 4. And because it's going to be layered and hidden, I cut the frame from that piece. And when you cut the frame out, let me share the frame dies. I'm jumping the gun here. So the frames are from the Framed Scenes bundle. You get the frame die that cuts out the frame, and then you get this inside piece that I'll use for another project. And then you have 2 ovals, a larger oval and a smaller oval. So I did also cut out that large oval. I don't need it for this project, but this will work perfect for another project because I can layer that behind the smaller oval. So maximize your specialty paper that you are sandwiching between your card base and your top layer. So I've got that prep work done ahead of time. Now I do want a backing for this frame, and that is 2.5 by 3 1/4. And I'm using a Designer Series paper. It is the Nature Sweetness. It's a specialty paper. All of the front sides of these papers have a gold embellishment, and the back sides you have some different backgrounds. So I have used this print just to give it a subtle design for that. So that is what I've got cut out here. I will provide a PDF with the measurements if you want to duplicate this card. So before we start the assembly, we want to decorate this. Now I decided to cut this out before I added the color to this. So what I did ahead of time is I cut around that embossed image so that work could be done ahead of time. So for this technique, what you will want to have handy is a silicone craft mat. You want a clear block, and you want to have some alcohol wipes handy. This needs to be cleaned up before it dries. That's my suggestion. When it dries, you need a lot more elbow grease to clean it up. But if you have alcohol wipes handy, you can clean that up, and it's going to clean up really nicely. So to do this, what I would do is put it on a silicone craft mat, have a clear block, and then what I'm going to do is just take the enamel, gold enamel, and just put it right here on the silicone craft mat. Now I want to use the clear block because it's solid and it's flat. And what I'm doing here is I'm squishing this so I have a thin coverage here, and then I can go right onto my project, and I go in a circular motion to remove the enamel from the block, and it's being transferred to the project. Now, depending on how much you put on is going to be how much gets onto your white paper or your design. The goal with this block like this and getting this coverage, getting it flat on here and getting it on here is that it adheres to just the raised part. Now, I do want to let you know, if you have a lot on your clear block, it does seep in a little bit, but you know what? That just adds great texture to your project. Now, some spaces don't have any, and it just means that the areas around it are raised a little bit higher and it's not catching that enamel. So now what we need to do is let this dry. So I'm going to set that aside, but first, as I mentioned, I think it's important to clean this. I will tell you, if I don't clean it right away, you got to use a lot of elbow grease to get this off. It dries really well. So clean off your block and clean off your silicone craft mat before it dries, and you will it will clean up much easier. So go ahead and clean all of that up. Now it does take a little while to dry, and I can't tell you exactly how long. It's going to depend on how much excess ink or enamel you get in there. So what I did is I did this ahead of time and I allowed it to dry, and hopefully you can see in the camera you've got that beautiful metallic gold, just a subtle design. It will be perfect for this card. So how I'm going to assemble this is I'm going to bring my silicone craft mat back in, and I'm going to turn it over just so it's all dry there. I'm going to first start out by just tacking this designer series paper to the back of the gold frame. So I'm going to turn this over and just put a little bit of adhesive on the top and the bottom just to get this into place. Okay, so I want that like that. And then what I'm going to do is take this and I'm going to have this go underneath like this and just sit in the frame like this. So what I actually am going to do is set this here. I want to tip the frame a little bit, and I want these flowers to extend beyond this postcard here. So what I'm going to do is just kind of decide, how do I want this to be arranged, looking at this flower in the frame. And I'm going to say, I think I'm really happy with how it looks here. So what I'm first going to do is I'm going to turn it this way, take this and pull this back and put some adhesive on the frame and the designer series paper and place that down. What that's doing for me is getting all three of these pieces attached. So now what I can do is turn this over and put the rest and adhere, or let me rephrase that. I'm going to put adhesive on the back part of this, on the frame, the designer series paper, the floral part. Then I'm going to take this and then place it down here. So I want to decorate this by just adhering it to this first layer. And the reason I do that is because I want to now trim these edges. It's hard to guesstimate where you're going to trim those edges until you layer it on like that. So I'm going to turn this over and trim that off. It works best if you open up your scissors and put this top blade up against this layer, and then that's a good guide to get that cut straight. So that is that step. Now I'm going to take and put adhesive on the back of this and on all edges. Then, because I have all of these openings, I'm going to make sure I set this gold foil on my silicone craft mat. The silicone craft mat avoids getting the adhesive to adhere to your paper or your work surface underneath. So now I can look at opposite corners, all four sides, and adhere that. So that is going to be like that, and that's where it's sticking because I have exposed adhesive. And that's the intent for the silicone craft mat, is to help peel that back off and continue to work with it. So I'm going to put more adhesive on here. I have my basic white card base. I'm going to move this out of the way here and look for opposite corners. I have about 1/8 of an inch spacing here on all sides, and adhere that. And now we have this little banner here. What I'm going to do for this is I'm going to put a couple dimensionals on the back, and I'm just going to put them on the back, just 2 right back here on that side. Now I did intentionally move my sentiment over and left more white space here, because I'm going to show you how I'm going to attach this. I'm going to take this and tuck this banner underneath here and have that attached like so. So that's where I'm putting my sentiment, and then I'm going to add some of these iridescent basic pearls. They are 2 different sizes. They are perfect for any color project you're working with. I also use these on that previous card I shared with you, and I think I'll just sprinkle a few here and just decorate that card a little bit. And here is the card made with the gold enamel. And let me bring that other card back in. This is the one created with the Memento ink. I will reference this video tutorial to show you how I did that, but both of them are perfect for a congratulations card. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Take care and happy creating.